Aujourd'hui, nous avons un invité spécial avec nous, Alex Boue. Merci d'être ici avec nous.
Merci de m'avoir sur l'émission.
Welcome back to Hangin. We got a special guest with us.
Yes, sir.
You know, Alex Boue. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Obviously, I'm Ivan. You know,
And I am Emmanuel.
My family is, my dad's side is from France, but my mom's side is from Canada. But yeah, I was born in Toronto, grew up in Toronto, playing soccer here. Went through like the same youth academy system that everybody did, playing leagues around Ontario. But
yeah, the reason I asked is because your French is very much so it's like a France,
Yeah.
like it's a français.
yeah, I spoke French a lot at home. My mom lived in France for a bit before she met my dad, so that I guess they spoke French as well. So we grew up speaking French at home, and I went to an English school up until around grade 5 or grade 6. So I did speak English was my first language, but I would speak French at home, and I guess I don't know why that's how I picked up the accent, but it's a bit weird.
Yeah, because your accent is not like I know you don't understand what's happening right now. But like,
I know Quebec French.
yeah, because you're
I know
actually,
Congolese French.
yeah. But you know, as you said, you went through the same, academy system, youth system, as a lot of us here. You know, we all went up through the ranks. But what team did you play for when you were younger?
When I was younger, I played at North Toronto up until about age 11, 12. And then I went.
When I came to Canada.
Then I went to Pro Stars, and right when they started around 2012, 2013, and I played with them up until just about before high school. And around high school I left and played in Europe for about a year before I went to come to Mac.
Okay, then you played for North Toronto.
Yeah, but
It
at that time he was gone.
Yeah.
Okay. Wait, so you say you took that 1 year, you went to Europe.
Yeah.
What was that like for you a bit? Tell me a bit just about did the playing style change a lot when you went up there?
Yeah, well, the playing style I thought was completely different. I mean, the thing that I found that was a bit different when I was in France was I was in an academy, but I played in a regional division. So in France, they have, for youth levels, they have national leagues. So they have where all the first and second division academies are. And just below that, it's kind of like a provincial thing. So they have like the highest level provincial. So that's where I played. And that level is, it's interesting because you have players who are just as technical as some of these guys who are in academies, but they have the physicality of having played like in a bit of like smaller leagues. So it's a real tough. I remember my first game I played, and I was playing like number 10, and I went and checked and got the ball in the 6, and I thought I could turn, and I turned and just boom, cleaned it right through. And it was a big wake up call. I was like, okay, welcome to Europe.
How did that Europe experience transition into coming back to Canada and like helping you develop, your game and like obviously your soccer knowledge and how you look at things and your playing style?
Well, I've noticed in Europe, you find that players, like, they're so much more technical, so you learn to be able to use your technique to kind of get by players, and it definitely, you see that it's hard to transition that, I think, in a way to like Ontario, especially university soccer, because guys aren't as technical and it's a little more physical, so you have to know when to take that second touch, you have to know when to use your body, whereas like I think if you played in the States, it's more similar to kind of university level, but it's a continuation of kind of this academy level where guys are, I think, a little bit more technical, a little less physical.
Yeah, there's one thing that's interesting about you, and I've always noticed, because we went to the same high school, is that you've always been the type of guy to really focus on your touch and your technical ability.
Yeah.
While everybody's, they're taking shots and doing all these crazy things. I was always the type of guy, ball against the wall, touch, one touch.
Yeah.
I always did that, and and now you see that it makes sense because it really sets you apart from most of us that were here. We're not really thinking too much about the minute details of your technical ability.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of like a hand to some of the coaching that I've had as a kid. I think I was fortunate that some of the coaches that I was able to be introduced to throughout like my kind of preteen and teenage years were coaches who were guys who'd been in Europe and they had experienced like what it's like to be in European academies. So they focused heavily on your touch. There was a coach I used to go to all the way, I think it was like Jane and Finch almost around there. And he was this guy, Oswald Glassman, and he would take players and he would just make us do crazy technical work. But some of the players who trained with him, like, did extra work, went on to play pro, went on to like be at good universities. So it definitely stood out.
So in between high school years and that McMaster year, what happened? Like, what were you thinking in terms of what do I want to do at this point? I'm done high school. What do I want to do?
Yeah, well, it was weird when I finished high school because everybody in my last like semester of grade 12 was thinking, okay, like I'm getting accepted to this university, I'm going to this university, and I had applied to have universities as a backup. But my thought process throughout from grade I'd say 10 onwards was, I'm not going to university, I'm going straight to Europe. With my club team, like at Pro Stars, we used to do like showcases down in the States, and I would never like go with them. I'd always be like, no, like whenever there's a thing in Europe, I'll go to Europe. Never did like SATs, like was never focused on that. And so like when you get to like the end of grade 12, everybody's like, oh, I'll see you at Queens, I'll see you at whatever, like University of Toronto in the fall. I'm like, I'm going to France in 2 weeks. I'll see you. So it's definitely a bit of a change. Like, I mean, you feel like you're not doing the same as everybody else, but like at the same time, when you're like in that mindset of like, okay, I want to go like play professional, I want to go like play in Europe, you're accepted the fact that like you're not going to be like this, do what everybody else is doing, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
True. Okay, mentally though, like, how did that affect you? Did it affect you in a negative way in terms of now, okay, you went to Europe, you stayed there for a year, now coming back, now you had to go to university. Did that affect you mentally in terms of like, well, now I have to come back and do the whole process again and apply to university, or was it a transition?
I think it was just like I think I matured a lot like while I was in Europe. I mean, I showed up in France and I was at like 18, you're living on your own in an apartment, like you have to cook for yourself, you have to like do everything by yourself. And I think like it was kind of more of a lifestyle change if I want to like actually pursue like that lifestyle of soccer. And what I thought was good about Mac was with the opportunities that we're now having in Canada, I thought at the time it seemed like a good opportunity to focus on school ambitions if I want to pursue that, and as well be able to focus on soccer going forward. Because when you're in France, you're with guys who are in an academy and their life is soccer 24/7. If they don't make it, they don't have a backup plan. So that was something I really noticed when I was in France versus like here.
So when you get to the OUA, I'm wondering, because I think when we all get there, there's this initial like adjustment period, you know, it's a brand new league, you have all these guys, you know, some guys 30 years old, you know. We don't see a birth certificate, but what was that like for you, just getting in that OUA, even training regiment and all those things, game day, traveling, all that?
Well, I think like the schedule, and what I was happy about with Mac was I thought that the schedule and of training, the facilities we had, that was all very similar to what you had in Europe in terms of like the quality of it or like the quantity. Like you train, when in season you're training every day, you have gyms that are better than some of the teams I played with in Europe. Like
now McMaster, I always said the Ron Joyce
Stadium,
favorite stadium.
It's one of my favorites, I think, in the OU. I think one of the best in the OUA. So I thought that was like very professional in terms of like compared to Europe, and that I think stood out to me a lot. But yeah, I mean, there's a big adjustment period. I mean, you also go from not being in school for a year to all of a sudden having courses that you're taking, 5 courses that you're taking. You go from playing against guys who are really technical to guys who like run through you. So it's for sure, it was definitely an adjustment that I had to go through, and I think that as well the level was a lot higher than I expected it to be. I think a lot of guys now, they go to Europe and they come back to the UA and they think they can just walk through the league. And I think when you get to some of these teams, like they're a lot more organized, a lot more physical than you expect them to be.
The Maccabi Games. Tell me a bit about how you first got involved in that, representing Canada, and just take me through the experience, because people will put up the pictures, we'll show you guys, man. The opening ceremony is a crazy scene. So just tell me a bit about that.
Well, I first went in 2017. I think my family got a call from a former coach who had known that I was eligible to play. And we would start training. That time though, I joined the team in 2017 a little bit late. I think the teams usually start training around the fall, like around September, October of the year before. Whereas I joined up around March, April, and I was still in high school, so I would have been 18, joining that under 18 tournament that I told you about, the same Maccabi Games with the under 18 level. But instead I played up with the men's team, so that was a different experience. And I was able to play in a men's tournament with guys at 17 who are 30, 28, 29, 30, who are pros, and it's definitely a big jump up. It feels like a professional tournament. So coming around this time around in the spring, I think they were able to see the pool of players who were back in 2017, and that's how I was able to get recruited for the team. But yeah, we had a really strong team. A few guys who were professional players. We had, I think, Daniel Haber, who's has a few caps for Canada, played in the Israeli Premier League and played in the USL. We have there's a few D1 guys, a few other guys. One guy who played Schalke under 23s. No, we had a really strong team. We were a bit unfortunate, but yeah, the tournament's such a good experience. Like you said, the opening ceremonies, you're walking out in front of 30,000 people. You get to play. It's a great experience to be able to play against like the Israeli under 19 national team with like guys who are have Europa League experience now with like Maccabi Haifa, guys who have like made their first team debuts, and it's a good experience. Yeah.
Is there a type of, I have to assume, a type of honor for representing Canada at this tournament, like from you and the guys?
I mean, yeah, you definitely like, it's obviously not at the same level as these guys who are going to the World Cup, but I gotta say, you definitely feel like you're proud to represent Canada at an international tournament. When you're walking in the streets and like you're wearing like your gear, like people are going up to you being like, wow, like congratulations, you're an athlete. Like it's definitely, you definitely feel that pride of wearing the Canada jersey while you're there. And being surrounded by other countries, it's a really cool experience. Yeah.
What are you, Nike or Adidas?
Are we talking cleats or are we talking gear? Because cleats for me is a different situation.
I'm already starting to sense, a cop out, a weasel. I'm already starting to sense it.
For cleats, I've always worn Adidas. Everything
Adidas.
But Mac responses with Nike, and I can't lie, I love the gear. The Nike gear that we
got. Yeah.
Clean up by choice.
Good answer, man. Good answer. And on that note, we'll end today.
Wait, hold on. Before we end this,
you
said something before the interview started.
What?
You said Arsenal is going to win the league.
No, okay.
How dare you say that on this podcast?
Okay.
Before you go, this is what you have to say. You have to say, Man United is better than Arsenal.
No, I can't say that. I can't say that.